Okay, so we're going to be going over very briefly output to files. I would note in this model that we've been building, we already have a data set that we have created, which is incident case count data set. Do you remember that? This is this thing that was created every week, 7 days or 1 week. You could have made it. And outputs data on the number of people affected over time. This is a traditional data set, so it's time stamped. And as a result, it just has timestamp values with the appropriate value for that time. I would like to show. Normally, I would output it to more than one such data set. But here, I'm going to. What I'll actually do is I will report the incident case count, and then I'm also going to report a prevalent case count. Okay, so there's incident case count, and I'm going to copy that and make there be another one, prevalent case count. Okay, prevalent case count data set. And what I'm going to do is in this event here, well, actually, I could show you with this data set directly. We don't even need the event because this data set can be computed automatically once a week. So I'm going to go to this data set. I'm going to say update data automatically, and the recurrence time will be 1 week for this data set. Okay, prevalent case count. And what I'm going to do now is, having done that, the vertical axis value here will be the population. So this will be this dot population. Okay, dot, and I think I actually have fractional prevalence of infection. So instead of being called prevalent case count, it'll be fractional prevalence. Okay, fractional prevalence data set. So this is a different type of data set. This one below it, we needed to explicitly update within this event. We went and we added this running count of incident cases. This one will update itself automatically every 1 week. Is that okay? Okay. And it does so by calling this statistic on the population. This statistic on the population. Okay? So if we run this thing now, just to make sure we're on the same page here, if we run this thing, we will see these being updated with fractional case counts, incident case counts and fractional prevalences. Okay? Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I want to change this to output to a file. Okay? I'm going to output these two items to two types of files, in fact. One will be a text file, and one will be a file that's a sort of text and then Excel file. And if anyone wants to follow this, what I'm going to do is upload the model to the drive. Here we go, and it's the SIRS output model version 2, and it's currently on there. Okay. Okay. Great. So, what are we going to do? Well, we are going to go drag into our model, and I don't remember, this may not be in PLE, but it's from this connectivity palette. We're going to drag in two items. One is an Excel file, and one is a text file. Excel file. And this is going to be called Excel out. I'll just call it Excel output file, and the other will be a text file. Okay, and this will be text output file. Okay, now, an important but awkward fact about this. We need to actually pre-create these files, okay? So you're going to get frustrated if you try to do this by creating your own file from AnyLogic. You're going to want to pre-create a file. So I'm going to go over here to Excel, and I'm going to actually create both files. So I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to save it as, and I'm going to save it to the appropriate model file, to where the model folder. So here we go, and this is here, and I'm going to put it into this folder, and I'm going to say, output.xls. Okay. Now I always have down XL. I thought it was XLS, so I'm going to save it as an SLX. I'm actually not positive. I've tried it before with an SLS.
Mine are all SLX.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're confident it can be done?
Yep.
Okay.
There's no difference.
Okay, great. So Excel workbook XLSX. Okay. So this would be model output. Now, as a very important principle, you're going to want to output metadata as well as the actual data. In other words, data about what version of the model was used to create this. Also data concerning the parameter values and maybe when it was run. Because you want to know what assumptions and what model version led to this data. Ideally, you'd like to output random number seed, etc. And one of our students, Priya Sribomi, built a tool to automatically do that each time you run the simulation. It will actually do a log, create a complete copy of the simulation used to create the ALP file, also output the random number seed, the parameter values, etc., so that you can easily recreate that output. I don't have that tool running here, so we're going to be outputting manually to a file. Now, so I just created this, and I am going to go create two sheets here. One of the sheets down at the bottom, this is an Excel workbook, one of the sheets is going to be called count infective, and the other count recovered. Okay? Now, in an elaborated version of this you'll find online, I also output individual data on each person in the population. That's sometimes of interest. I'm not going to do that here for lack of time. Count infective and count recovered. And ladies and gentlemen, I am going to now close this file. Okay?
That's important.
It's important indeed. I'm going to close this file. There we go. It's closed. Okay? Okay. Now, I'm going to go back to the Excel file. Sorry, the Excel file, output file object in the model, and I'm going to do browse, and I'm going to point it to the appropriate file, model output, that I just created. So I'm going to go to wherever I saved that, I'm going to point it to it, and I'm going to say open. And you notice it does say XLSX, and also the macro version. Okay, are you ready?
So you're opening that from AnyLogic.
Well, I'm actually just pointing it to it. I'm saying output to this thing.
Okay.
And you notice it says save on model termination, load on model startup. That's fine. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do there. Next, for the text output file, I'm going to go back to Excel, and I am going to go to Excel, and I'll create a new sheet again. And so don't reopen the other one, create a new one, and I'm going to say save as, and I'm point it to that folder. Again, at the cost of tedium, I'll go back to this and go there, and I'm going to say model output model text output, I'll say, just to make it clear. And I'm going to save this as a .tab file, .tab file. And I am having trouble finding that.
When you went.
There it is,
to
tab
that in
to.
the thing,
I'm sorry?
did it just do the, it's only loading the name of the file, it's not loading the path where I.
It's just putting the path there. Yeah.
It,
Is that what you're asking?
oh, it doesn't show the path.
So double click the browser. So yeah, so double click and click open.
Yeah.
Okay. That might be your relative locations because it's it just has the name of the file there. So try that again. Click browse.
Okay, so I'm going to save this as tab delimited. Do you see that? Tab delimited, model text output.txt. I've done it before as .tab, but I think that's fine.
It could be because you're calling it from wherever this file is saved.
It is.
Yeah, so then that's going to be, it's what they call a relative path.
Okay.
So it's just a path, like,
So
if you're in the
.txt.
same folder, then it just gives the path.
I would
Okay.
save it in the same folder. And you notice it as the model, because then it will find it with no extra path.
Yeah, that's what it did automatically.
Yeah. So here, do you want to keep using that format? Yes. So what did I do? I went and I saved as to that model folder. This thing is a tab delimited file. Are we okay with that? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's close that now. Okay. Do we want to save it?
It's
Oh, I already
just
saved
the
it.
tone, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it saves it. Do you want to save it as another format or
Yeah.
whatever? Yeah. Okay. Now, for this text output file, I would like to go point that, ladies and gentlemen,
Right there.
to that folder. Okay. So I'd like to point it to that same text folder, and I would like to go. This is important. I would like to go set this to write mode. See this write mode? Yeah, write mode. So it writes it out to it. Okay? Are we okay with that? Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, okay. How to do this next one? We have several places we can do it. One place I could do that I often like to do it is a place I've never shown you before. A place that sounds fearsome in its implications, and it's called OnDestroy. And that is well, it sounds like a dance of Shiva or something. It's when main finishes and dies. If I close it, if it stops, and if I exit AnyLogic while it was running, it'll destroy it there. It's OnDestroy main. But I have misgivings about that because it's not very obvious. I like to be able to show it visually. So I'm going to go to the palette here, and I'm going to go to Event, and here I'm going to say output to files. Okay, and I'm going to set that to happen at a certain time. Okay, I'm going to set it to happen after 365 days. Is that okay? And now, this is not the only way. There's many ways to skin this cat. And now I'm going to set in the experiment the final time to be 365 days. So you can do that in an experiment. You can set it to never stop or stop at a specified time.
So you just go back to output to files?
Yeah, output to files. All I did is I set it to be the first occurrence 365 days.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I went to this this one here, where I had month-long immunity, and I set it to run, stop at specified time. What's the specified time? 365 days. Okay? Okay. 365.
Which properties was that in?
That was properties associated with the experiment. 365. So long.
Thank you so much.
You had Nate's email?
No, but I assume that it might be.
I'll get your email from
Sure.
Nate, forward it to the participants.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah, it'd be a pleasure to be in touch.
All right, thanks.
Okay,
so
thanks.
much.
Thanks a bunch.
See you again.
See you
Take
again.
care there.
Safe travels.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so 365 days. So the action here, ladies and gentlemen, will be the following. Ready? The action will be text file, text output file, dot println infectives, colon, sorry, semicolon at the end, text output file, dot print, and we're going to give it the first name of the first data set. Fractional, okay, probably we should say this, sorry. Instead of infected, we should say fractional prevalence. And then println fractional prevalence data set, like that. Ready? And then text output file, I'll put a space between this to kind of clump things that are logically associated with each other. Println, and we'll say incident case counts, and we will say text output file dot print incident case count data set, like that. So we're printing out these data sets. And then finally, we're going to do the following. Excel output file, dot write data set, and we're going to give it the appropriate name. So we're going to give it fractional prevalence data set. And I can't remember which I made the first sheet, which I made the second sheet. Do you remember, Kurt? Which did I make the first sheet?
Do you mean prevalence instead of incidence?
Here.
I don't recall.
Yeah, let me just open this. Here it is, model output. Count infective, that should have been, not count, it should have been fractional prevalence, sorry. You don't have to rename it, I'll just rename it, you could see. And this should have been count, incident case count. Sorry folks, incident case count. Okay, there we go. So I'm just saving it back to that file so that they have the appropriate names. Okay, I just close it again, very important. Okay, so I'm going to write the prevalent data set to sheet 1, and I'm going to put it on row index 1 and column 1. And then Excel output file, write data set, incident case count data set. I'm going to output it to sheet 2, row and column, these rows and columns. Okay. So you'll notice that this basically writes the data set to that sheet at the row and index. Okay. Now, what would be really nice is if we set aside an additional sheet for the metadata. What are the parameter values for this? And what are the values associated, or what's the version of the model? What's the current date? And we can do this. We can do this using a thing called set cell value and create cell. And I'm tempted to do this, but let's just run it like this for now. Okay, so that's the text output. We're outputting to the Excel file and to the text file. Are we okay with that? Do you want me to put this up on the big screen? So basically this top stuff is for the text file. So this is output to Excel file. This top one is output to text file. This is the fractional prevalence. This is the incident case count. Here we print the data sets. Here we write the data sets to particular locations. Are we okay with that? Okay. So I'm going to put that here. Let's try building. And Krugerian assistance is not far. Okay? So I'm going to run this thing. I'm going to run it. And to what time will I run it? I'll run it till it finishes. Here we are, 365 days. Are we ready? I'm going to now close it. Boom. Done. Okay? Now let's go check out those files. Ready? Open model output. Okay, here we are. Count recovered. Well, I thought I changed that. Okay. Fractional prevalence. Here we are. Okay. So this should have been incident case count, and it shouldn't say count recovered. It should say incident case count. Okay. So I will get rid of these things. And I'm actually going to modify this slightly per best practice to have incident case count here, okay? Incident case counts. And then I'm going to add yet another sheet, which will be, I'm going to actually put it at the first one, which will be model meta, I'm going to say metadata. This is the data about this data, the provenance data. Where did this data, from whence did this data come? Okay, are we ready for that?
You're technically allowed to say from whence.
Not according to my Australian colleagues.
I looked it up. Like whence, the word whence includes from in the definition.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's by far the most number of uses is when it says from whence.
I see.
So it might be like a little bit unplausible, but it's completely accepted to say from whence.
Okay, the scholars of Latin though that I've talked to, because it's the ablative case.
It's a Puritan. It's a Puritan approach to it.
Which the Australian dialect is all about.
Right.
That's what happens when you start off with all criminals.
Exactly.
So
The home of bugger all.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I've just changed that so I can actually output some other things. So now I'm going to output, this will be sheet 2, this will now be sheet 3, because I've changed to now have a metadata sheet. And now I'm going to create a bit of metadata, just so you see how it's done. Ready? I'm going to sign into, so I'm going to do the following. This is not quite as pleasant, but it's going to help us. Excel output file dot create cell, and this is going to be in the metadata sheet, and it's going to be in 1-1, and I'm going to create cell 1-2 as well. So those are going to be row 1, columns 1 and 2. And now, having done that, I am going to do Excel output file. You have to create the cell first, and then you have to write to the cell. Well, that's kind of wild, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. So we're going to set the cell value to be here, to be here. What is the value? The first value is going to be the following. It's going to be, I'm going to write one of the parameter values, population size. We'll start with that. I'm just going to show how you do one of these. Population size. so we can move on to other important topics. Okay. And then it's going to be, the sheet is going to be metadata, and the row index is going to be 1, the column index is going to be 1. Next, set cell value, and it's going to be the value of population size. This one is just going to say population size as the actual literal string. This one, by contrast, is going to give the value of population size. Is that okay? And then for the next row, we could have a similar thing and output connection distance threshold, right? Here, I'll do one more. Connection distance threshold. So metadata, we'll do row 2 here, and we'll say connection distance threshold, and we'll put that there.
You actually don't need to create the cell. You
And-
can just do set cell value.
I had problems with that before.
Oh, that's what I did. But
So you could be right. I mean, playing it safe.
it's true. That's a good point.
Yeah. So I had trouble last summer, I think, when I first tried to do that. So I had to create the cell or something. But
The way I'm doing it doesn't.
it doesn't require that.
Right.
Well, maybe we'll try. Maybe we'll try commenting these out.
But yeah, I mean,
I'll try commenting these out. and let's
95%
see.
sure, right?
Yeah. Let's try it. That would spare us some grief. Okay? There we go. We'll try this like this. So here I'm outputting metadata. So here's the output data, and now output metadata for that section. And the metadata will consist of a label and the value for successive parameters. Right? We okay with that?
Can you scroll down just a second?
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Connection distance. The key thing to watch out for is these are ones. They're going in row 1, column 1 and 2. And this is going in row 2, columns 1 and 2. Now, I'm going to secretly run this while you folks are typing, just to see if it works hunky-dory. Okay. Okay? It would appear that it works hunky-dory. Okay, and here we go. Oh, sorry. Okay, connection distance threshold is, are they the same value?
Yes. Yeah.
They have to be the same value, okay. Okay, here's fractional prevalence, and incident case counts is also full. Okay? So let me go back to that in case you want to see it, and that will conclude our little example. And I'd say, continue here with other parameters, right? Other parameters. Good. Thank you, Kurt. That's a less of a blighty way of putting it. Okay. Great. Excellent. Okay. Great, ladies and gentlemen. So next, so we've seen how that's output. Let's go take a look at the text file, if we may. Boom. Okay. So let's check out the text file. So the text file, I could load that into Excel if I wanted to, or I could look at as a document here. Let's go do that. Okay, here it is. This is none of those models. It's this one here. Okay, here's the text file, and there it is. You could see it to the right. I'll open it with Notepad. This is what we get in the text file. Okay, so tabs separated. You could read it in an R, for example. Okay, or you could do. You might be able to do a comma separated one, but I think it's tab that's privileged here. Okay, great. So there we go. Okay, let's get rid of that. Okay, excellent. So that's output to files here. Okay, fairly straightforward to output to files, quite valuable to output metadata as well, so that you can figure out how can I reproduce this data? What does it really mean? What run gave rise to this? It's a best practice if you can label the version of the model and keep that version incrementing, and then actually have a variable that's the version number of the model, version 231, 232, 233, and have that as a model parameter that keeps on being output to these files. So you have a documentation of which version of the model file was used to produce this too. Okay? That's a good best practice. Okay, but time is a-fleeting, and we need to set our sights on some additional things. Okay. So I'm going to stop this. Any questions on output? File output?